Hey there, Stampers. Happy Friday. Welcome to this week's live. My name is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada. And I am here today to share with you a couple things. We're going to create 2 cards using some scraps that are left over from some of my holiday themed paper packs. But they are not going to be holiday themed cards. So I wanted to show you how you can continue to use your Christmas paper or your holiday themed paper even after the holidays. And I'm also kicking off a series where it's going to be called Card Making with Scraps. So beginning, well, today, and for once a month, I will share a video. It might not always be a live, sometimes it might be a pre-recorded video, but I will share some ideas on how you can use scraps to make cards. All right, I love to get as much use out of my products as I can. So I thought that that would be a fun series to do throughout 2024. So hopefully you'll join me and play along. All right, so first of all, let me share kind of what I have left for my holiday paper. So I have some of this Snowflake Magic DSP. So I have mostly scraps. I do have a full sheet of this one in the background, but when you look at this, you can see it's not Christmas themed, it's more of a winter theme. So that's one thing that you can do is you can look at your papers and kind of see what other things you can use them for. So yes, this does make great Christmas cards, but you can also use them for winter birthday cards. You can use them for thank you cards. If you send thank you cards for the gifts that you receive over the holidays, you could use this paper for that. So that's another great idea. And those are the kinds of things that you want to look at when you check out your paper packs. So this one, I really don't have much left of this one. Merry Christmas to you too, Layla. So this one, basically just scraps left, but another thing to look at is make sure you're checking out both sides of your pattern paper. So oftentimes one side will be something that is holiday specific and the other side might be something a little bit more generic. So here we've got some that have Christmas trees on them and stars. So those are obviously Christmas. But then there's this yellow one that just has stars on it. That would be great for a birthday card. There's this one with polka dots on it. You could use that for lots of different occasion cards. There's diagonal stripes that are multicolored. So there's lots of ways that you can continue using this paper pack. And this was the Merry, Bold, and Bright paper pack. And all of the ones that I'm sharing, actually except one, except 2 are retiring. Okay, and then this one, this is the one that I used last week in last week's live. This is Traditions of St. Nick. And again, there are some obvious themed Christmas patterns in here. So there's the St. Nick pattern, there's the holly leaves pattern, but then there is this pattern, which isn't holiday themed. There's this gray pattern, which isn't holiday themed, but the back sides of them are. Okay, so we're actually going to use this scrap piece. So I'm going to pull that out. And then I've pulled out the Winter Meadow. And the Winter Meadow just, by its name alone, kind of tells you that it's not necessary. It's more of a winter themed paper than a holiday themed paper. So for me, this one kind of feels holiday-ish and this one kind of feels holiday-ish, but I think you can get away with using it for other occasions as well. But the back sides of them can be used for anything. This one kind of is a little bit more wintry, but these other 2 can be used for anything. Again, I just have scraps left. And then this one, again, this isn't necessarily Christmassy. So this, again, kind of has a wintry feel. It could even be used other types of the year or for other occasions as well. All right. Okay, so I'm going to set these aside because I've got some things pulled out. So when you're looking through your Christmas pattern paper, if you want to continue using it, those are some tips on things to look for. All right, let's see. Good morning, everyone. A Merry Christmas to all of you. Thank you for joining me this morning. Okay, so let me share what else I'm using. I'm going to be using this Softly Said stamp set. This is an online exclusive, so you won't find this in any of our publications. but you will be able to find it in the online exclusive section of our website. And this Heartfelt Hexagon punch, which is my current favorite punch. I love this punch. This, again, you won't see in a publication at the moment. However, it will be in the January to April mini catalog, and you can also currently find it in our online exclusive section. So it is currently available. Yes, Kevin, I agree. I absolutely love this punch. I use it a lot. It's a nice size, so lots of things fit in there. You can create some great backgrounds with it. It's just really, really versatile. And I love that you can change the size of it too. All right, so for our first card, let me think here. So I went through, so this is the Winter Meadow paper pack. I went through and pulled out a bunch of scraps of the patterns that coordinate. So this one, which is my favorite pattern paper, this is all I have left. And then the back side of that one, that works as well. So these three patterns kind of work really well together. So what I did, I'm going to slide these out of the way, is I pulled out my punch and I punched, I apologize, I'm going to end up coughing lots. I still have my cough. It just will not go away. And when I talk lots, that tends to be when I start coughing. So I punched out several of these from some scraps that I had. And we're going to create a background. So I've got a piece of white cardstock. I believe this measures 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to create a background with it. So I'm just going to start in the middle and kind of alternate. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use all 3 patterns or if I'm just going to do 2 patterns. I'm going to try it with just 2 patterns and see here. So, and this one, you don't even necessarily need, that's a lot of that. You don't necessarily need full pieces to do this, because around the edges, so here, for example, if I didn't have enough scraps to fit this entire piece, what I could have done is I could have taken my punch, and that's not a great example. Let's use this one, and kind of fit it in and gone like this, and that would still have given me enough to do a piece up there. Okay, so I think we're gonna start with that. And I'm gonna use some seal adhesive for this. And I'm gonna use seal just because I feel like seal gives me the opportunity to reposition a little bit better than Tombow multi-purpose glue does. So I'm gonna try to kind of, it doesn't have to be perfectly centered, but I'll put that down there. And then we'll add this one in here. And I know there are still some spaces here, but you'll see what I do to fill those in a minute. So I'm leaving a little bit of a space. So you can see how fun of a background this punch can create. And you don't necessarily have to use this punch. You could use a hexagon punch or hexagon dies. There's lots of different shapes that you can use. The tailor-made tag dies or punch, no, that's not what it's called. I can't remember what it was called, but we had a punch a couple years ago that was another one that created a great background like this. But you could also even use hearts or circles. You just wouldn't necessarily be able to get them as close together, but you could still create a fun background with them. So this is a great idea to use with your scraps of patterned paper. Okay, so we've got the base of our pattern done. Now I'm going to flip it over and trim off the excess. So how are you guys doing for your Christmas preparations? Are you all ready? We have our very first family gathering tonight, and I just finished making the gifts for that gathering. Cards are all done. I'm working on some swaps. I'm trying to finish up some last minute things, and I still have a bit of wrapping. I've kind of been wrapping along the way, so it's not as overwhelming. Oftentimes you'll find me Christmas Eve kind of wrapping things to try to get caught up, but this year I was determined to not be in that position. Okay, so that piece is not, oh, hang on, we can do it this way. Yes, it will fit in there. So now I'm going to use these scraps that I have left over to try to fill in these gaps. So, and our Christmas, we have 5 different Christmas gatherings this year. Our daughter is a nurse and she works, and my son now has a girlfriend, so we kind of need to share all of them. So yeah, it's kind of spread out a little bit, and it's going to be a different Christmas for us. Christmas Day, my husband and I will be all by ourselves until the afternoon when just the 2 of us are going over to my parents' place. So it's going to be a different Christmas, but it'll still be good. We have our days with the kids. So, all right. So now what piece did I just have in my hand to use for this? This goes this way. Okay, so I might need to punch another one for that. We need something for here. That goes that way, so none of those will work. Okay, so now this is when all of these little scraps come into play. So we need a little piece for there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this in, and I want my trees to be straight. And I'll just do that. So that's what these little scraps are great for. Put a little bit of adhesive on there, and actually I don't think I got enough on there. That's gonna go on here like that. Oh, this is the piece that I was gonna use there. I knew I had pulled it out. Now this just needs a narrow little bit on here, so I'm just gonna use this. And this is just a bottle that I picked up on Amazon and filled with Stampin' Up's multi-purpose glue. I get asked that question almost every single video that I do. So I have linked in the description where you can find the bottle. Okay, let's flip this over and trim this one off. And then we'll flip this over, trim this piece off. Okay, so we have this one spot here. That's not gonna work, so these ones aren't gonna work, but I'm gonna slide those aside because I might end up using those for something else. Now I have a whole one of that. I might keep that one. Let's see if we can get another bit. I only need a very little bit, so I'm just gonna punch this out of here. Again, using that scrap piece. That's gonna give me enough that I can fit it in there. My iPad keeps telling me that it's on low battery, so it's probably gonna die before I'm finished this video, so I may not be able to comment or answer your questions as we go along, but just type them in the comments and I will definitely go back and answer any questions that you might have. Okay, so now we're gonna flip this over and trim these pieces off. All right, so now we've got this beautiful background. Oh, let's turn it the right way up, right way around. Okay, so now those I want to slide aside. These ones I'm going to keep out because I might still use some of those pieces. Now I'm going to adhere this to this white card base. This is a piece of thick white cardstock. And I'm just going to use some multi-purpose glue. Stick that on there so we have a beautiful white background. And look how pretty that looks. So pretty. And it's not necessarily Christmassy. So if we don't put a Christmas greeting on here, it's not going to look Christmassy. So we're gonna do thank you. So I've got a scrap piece of white. Let's cover this over. And I'm gonna use this great big thank you from the Softly Said stamp set. And I have it on my, here it is. And I'm gonna use some pretty peacock ink. So I plan on using this card as a thank you. We received a great gift from our daughter's in-laws. So I'm gonna send them this card as a thank you for the gift that they gave us. So I'm just gonna stamp that on here. And I love that the word itself kind of has some texture to it, or some variation. It doesn't stamp like a full-on solid image. It's got like some texture to it, which is really fun. And then of course I fussy cut it, because you know me, I love to fussy cut. So I went ahead and I fussy cut that. You could also just cut it in a rectangle, die cut it into a shape that will fit. And I've got a circle. This is the second largest circle from the Stylish Shapes dies. These Stylish Shape dies are my most used dies in my collection. I think that they're a staple, just because circles, squares, and banners are perfect. And even better that they've got the stitching around the edges. Okay, so now I need to decide where I want to put this. Do I want to put this in the center, or do I want to put it down? I think I'm going to put it down here just so it doesn't cover so much of that really pretty patterned paper. So I'm going to use more of this Seal adhesive, which, oh, I think I'm out. Okay, let's try Seal Plus. I didn't grab a refill before I started filming. Let's just add a little bit of Seal Plus on here. This will hold our vellum circle in place. And then I want to use a little bit of ribbon. Excuse me. So I've got some white, silver and white sheer ribbon, which is a beautiful ribbon. This is in the mini catalog, but I believe this is also carrying over. It's going to be available in the online exclusive section of our website. Actually, now that I think of it, I don't know that I wanted to add ribbon to this one. I don't think I did. I think because I think I tried it and I found that it was a little too busy. That's right. I did not want to do that. So this one, I'm going to pop these up using some mini dimensionals. So I've got a few other samples to share with you as well. So for those of you who are joining in late, this is the first in a series that I will be starting. Well, it kicks off today, so this is number one. Every month I will share a video, whether it's in the form of a live or a pre-recorded video, and it's going to be titled Card Making with Scraps. So I'm going to share a ton of ideas throughout the year on how you can use your scraps. Okay. So I do want to have a bit of twine in here. So I'm gonna grab my baker's twine and tie a bow. And just before I stick this down, I wanna figure out where I wanna put my bow. Because I love to add just a little bit of fiber to my projects, and I do that on almost every project. I'm thinking maybe up here, or maybe in the middle. Let's try it in the middle. No, I feel like it's too busy in the middle. If we made it a little smaller, maybe we do it at the bottom, at the tail end of the U, or maybe we do it right underneath like this. I think that's the winner. Yeah, I like that. Okay. So we can go ahead and adhere our words. I'll just peel off the backing. And we'll stick the thank you on, or the thank on here. So the purpose of the vellum is just to soften the background so it doesn't look quite as busy. because I did not do the, like, because I fussy cut the word. So if you didn't fussy cut the thank you or whatever greeting you're using, you can get away without the circle because you'll have a solid piece in behind. Okay, so that's gonna go right there. And I'll trim these ends because they are a bit long. Just put a little dot, multi-purpose glue. I'll put that on there. Trim these off just a little bit, make them a little shorter. And then of course we need some embellishments. So I went to my retiring stuff because I'd like to try to use up as much as I can before it retires. And these are the adhesive backed glitter sequins. Now these I believe are sold out. I checked online yesterday for all of these products. I think this is the only thing that I'm using that as of yesterday was not still available. So I'm just gonna add this for a little bit of sparkle. I'm gonna add a few of these. These are great because they are flat, so they don't add dimension. Okay, I'll pop these. Actually, you know what? I'll do this later. Okay, let's set those aside. And then now what I do afterwards is I have a look at what I've got left. Now this was in my scrap bin. So I pulled it out. I wasn't sure if I was going to use it or not. I don't think I want to use it on the outside of my card, but maybe I can use it on the inside. And then I have these pieces. So maybe there's something that I can do with these pieces on the inside of my card. So maybe I could do kind of like a little bit of a border. That might be fun, going down like that. Let's see, can we use this one instead? I think that one's a bit too small. But instead of using that full one, let's cut a partial one. From a scrap, because that way this is a full one. I can use that on a different project. Yeah, that'd be cute to put in there. Just to create a little bit of a border. And then maybe we can add this on there. I don't know, does that make it look Christmassy if I add that on there? That little sprig. Let's start by using this piece. So this is my process when I design cards, is I don't throw anything away until I'm finished, because you never know when those little scraps that you have left over can be used to decorate the inside of your card. This, and I'm going to try to make it the same height. I'm going to pull it in my silicone mat here. I don't want to get my glass mat all sticky. So the glass mat will be available January 4th to anybody who purchases the starter kit. There will be 2 options that you can purchase, that you can choose from. Cost will be $135 here in Canada. No shipping, no GST, and you get to choose $165 worth of product for option 1. And in addition to that, you get this mat for free. And it's I think it was $82 value, which is incredible. And I love this mat. If you've been watching my videos, you've seen that I have it underneath or as my work surface whenever I craft. All right, that's kind of a fun little border in there. And there we go. We're gonna leave it at that. So there is card number 1. So I will put all of these back in my scrap bin, but for now we'll just set them aside. These little scraps will go in the garbage. So there is card number 1. Excuse me, and let me share a couple variations with you. So here is another one that I did using that beautiful, another pattern from that beautiful Winter Meadow paper pack. So this one I did a little bit different. So this one has a scene on it. So if you want to replicate something like this, and you want to recreate the scene, but just with a little bit of added interest, so you can see like the little white frame in between all of the shapes, you will need a little bit of a bigger scrap piece. So I think this piece, my scrap was, I think 6 by 6, and then I just started punching. So I started down in this corner and I punched a shape, and then I moved it over and I tried to line it up as close as I could. I punched another shape, and then I trimmed off the bottom, and then I punched in between so that I would get as much of the scene. You can see it lines up pretty well, so as much of the scene as I could get. So that is another way, if you've got some scenery paper that you want to recreate. That beautiful, the meadow one that I used a couple weeks ago, that would be beautiful in this, using this technique. So would the One Horse Open Sleigh DSP using this technique. Those are great pattern papers for this kind of a background. But when you don't have a full scene, or if you don't have enough scraps, then that's when you can throw in, you could do 2 or 3 different patterns and it would look really fun. Okay, so there's that. And then I wanted to show you, of course, you can do it with any pattern paper. It does not have to be Christmassy patterned paper. So here is one using a new pattern paper that is coming out. It's called, I believe it's called Be Mine. It's going to be in the January to April mini catalog. So I used patterns from that paper pack. And here I added another, that same shape, that heartfelt hexagon shape in behind. And then I used the Thinking of You greeting from the Softly Said stamp set. I also added some twine in behind, and I added a little vellum leaf just for some added interest and a little bit more texture kind of in the back. And I love that the vellum is soft, so it doesn't make it look too busy and it doesn't take away from the greeting that's on the card. All right, so those are 3 samples using that same technique. Now we're gonna go and we're gonna create a different card using the same bundle, or same punch. Let me just set this stuff aside. All right, so now we're gonna use this pattern paper. So this is from the Traditions of St. Nick. This is the scrap piece that I have left for this. And I'm gonna punch out, I think, 2 of these patterns, or 2 of these shapes. And I didn't have in my scraps, in the pattern paper pack, I didn't have anything like another pattern that would match it, that wasn't Christmassy. So the back is Christmassy, like this would match with it, but it's Christmassy and I don't want to make a Christmas card. I'm done with my Christmas cards. So I wanted to make something different. So that's when I thought, okay, well, let's just pull in some coordinating cardstock. So I grabbed some Mossy Meadow cardstock and I embossed it using the Distressed Tile embossing folder, which is from the September to December mini catalog, but it is carrying over. I was so excited to see it carry over because I love this, this pattern. And this pattern kind of has almost like a vintagey kind of feel to it. It's like kind of like a damask kind of pattern. So I thought that this embossing folder would work really well with it. So I'm gonna punch a couple of these out. So we're gonna do this and we'll do this. So we'll punch a couple of these out. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna layer these one on top of the other. So line them up and I'm gonna snip. Stuff stuck to my snips here. I'm gonna snip up the middle. And then I'm gonna create my own pattern. So like that. And I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. So line it up. And then snip. Okay, so I've got 4 of these. And we're gonna bring in a piece of white cardstock. And this has been embossed using the Timber embossing folder, so which is from the annual catalog. So we've got just like a subtle wood grain pattern. Excuse me, let me just take a drink here. Okay, And we're going to create a little bit of a border, I guess, but it's going to go right across the center. So we're going to take one of these, and actually we're going to go this way. And then we'll take one of these. So we're alternating, and then we'll take this one. And we're going to do that across the center. All right. And yeah, I'm going to use this. Okay. So we'll stick this one down first. So the paper that I'm using isn't really directional. I guess if you look at it closely, it could be directional, but it doesn't have to be. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're punching. Just think about how you want to position your punches, your pieces, because you'll want to punch so that your patterns are going in the right direction. Okay, so we've got that. And then we'll add this one. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat just in case I add too much glue. And then this one's going to go on here. We'll just line it up so that we have a pattern that's straight going all the way across. And we'll do the same over here. And then this one. All right. Okay, we're going to slide that up there. Now I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of white, and we're going to stamp the word celebrate. So again, I'm not doing this as a Christmas card. This is a Christmas paper pack, but I've used the back side, which is not necessarily Christmas themed. And I'm pulled the celebrate from the Softly Said stamp set, and we're going to use some Mossy Meadow ink. And I'm just going to center it side to side, and then I'll trim it so that it's a little bit shorter. I always like to stamp on a bigger piece and then trim it afterwards. And of course my punch is underneath all of my supplies here. Let me just move some of this stuff, or my trimmer. All right. So we'll slide this over. We're going to trim it so that it's just slightly larger than our greeting. Okay, so we've got our words. We're going to flip this over. We'll trim off the excess. And then our card base is going to be a piece of Mossy Meadow. It's just a standard size card base. This piece is going to get added right to the center. All right, and then remember that piece of ribbon that we cut and didn't end up using for the last card? We're going to use that for this one. And yeah, we can add it right here. I'll just add a little bit of Seal. Well, this is Seal Plus that we're using. Fold my ribbon over. And then, of course, I'm going to add a piece of twine on top of that. It's my favorite combination, if you guys haven't noticed. Love using ribbon and then a little twine bow over top. Okay, we'll just add a little dot of multi-purpose glue. Add that on there, and then we'll do some dimensionals on the back. Let's let's just angle cut the ends of this, just to give it a little bit more interest. Make it look not so boxy. And we can use some, oh, I don't have any left on there. Let's add some dimensionals to this. So this is another great way to use your scraps. And these, you don't even have to have a piece where you can punch a whole shape out. You can just use a partial shape. So there's our Celebrate. And then the embellishments that I'm going to use for this one are iridescent pearls. We'll just add 3 of these on here. Grab a little one. And then for the inside, let's see what we've got here. We've got this left over. We've got these 2 pieces. And then we have still some more DSP. So let's use, I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. And let's trim this piece off. Actually, this is going to work. We're just going to, I'm going to trim this off, and let's see. Okay, we'll do that. And then I'm going to cut maybe a 1-inch strip of this. I'll cut it so that it is 4 inches. And then we'll use a little bit of this as well. This is 4 1/4, so we'll trim a little bit of this, maybe 1/2 inch of this. And then make it 4 inches as well. And our card is a landscape card. So I think what we'll do is we'll just do that. So I'll put this piece down first. And then this piece on top. Overlapping it a little bit just so it doesn't take up too much room. So you still have room to write a greeting. And then we can maybe add, I don't know, do we want to do that or is that too much? That might be too much. We'll save those for a different card. Okay, and we'll add this to the inside. And my iPad just died. So I apologize if anybody has commented, but I will go back and read the comments. So there is the inside, and we've got a fun Celebrate card. So it could be for a birthday, for a retirement, so lots of different reasons. And then here is another one that I did using some of that gray pattern from that same Traditions of Saint Nick. And I put Just Because, so Just Because can be used for any occasion. And then I also, because when I punched these, I punched out extra. So what I did was I added them to just a blank gift bag, added some matching ribbon and a little bit of twine. And so now I have a gift bag to go that matches my card. So those are just a few simple ways that you can use your scraps for card making. So like I said, today we're kicking off a series that will run for the entire length of 2024. Every month I will pop in and share a video where I share different ways to use the scraps of pattern paper that we all have. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. I will not be here next Friday. I plan on kind of taking next week off, but I will be here the first Friday in January. So hopefully I'll see you then. and take care.